Alright, g'day there. Richard MUSGRAVE-EVANS here again, and welcome back. Now today, back in my larger studio, this is the one I use when I want to paint bigger pictures. And just setting up, so I've got these big tins of paint that I get from Art Spectrum, Australian brand, Art Spectrum paint, good stuff. For all those people who ask what brand I use. Okay, there we go. Now, what's good about this paint, if you don't use it all and you've got the clean, still a fair bit of clean paint, you can put it back in the tin, quick smart before it's got a chance to dry. And you're as good as gold, but that way you won't be too stingy on the paint. It'll allow you to use plenty of paint, and you'll find you won't be too stingy, but you also don't really waste too much either, so that's good. So today here I've got ultramarine blue, a bit of phthalo blue, burnt sienna, yellow ochre. I love yellow ochre in the landscape, one of my favourite colours. Now today I'll be painting on a big stretched Belgian linen with 3 clear coats of primer. So it looks like it's just raw linen, but it's got a protective, 3 protective coats. So I really like to work on that natural surface. Alright, so this is going to be a picture of the Outback at sundown, that last light when the sun's already set, but it's still glowing on the distant hills, just that faint glow, that promise of a beautiful land in the distance. It's a really fantastic time of day. I love first thing in the morning, and I love the evening. When the light is slanted like that, particularly in the Outback, you get those beautiful clean colours. So we're going to work with that one today. Alright, let's do it. Alright, so what I've got here is just a little bit of Gumterb's medium, 1 brush. Don't normally do this, but I want to be nice and accurate with my block in today, so just going to stick a bit of a tree here, somewhere like so. Obviously you can immediately get better drawing skills when you're using one of these things instead of a large palette knife. Just got to work out what I want to do here now. Feel it, just want to feel the energy of the composition. I took a series of videos and stuff last time I was out there. Now I've taken a still and I'm working with that. But it's never ever a perfect composition in my mind. The perfect composition is when you're out there and you can just move things around how you want them. So I'm feeling free right now to do whatever I want with the composition. Just got a good flow, general feel of what I want. Feel the grandness of the old tree standing up there like that. Like I said, a little bit off there, or like I felt. And I'm not drawing any specific branches necessarily, I'm just trying to work out what's going to be the thing. Right, so that's basically the feeling of the painting done. And now it may look like I've just gone fast and done whatever I wanted, but I really have got an idea in my head way before I started any of this drawing and before I started any of this video. I've got an idea what I want, the concept of this picture. And so I do know what's going on here, even though I'm just being fast and radical. Alright, I'll stand back and have a look, see if I've got it right. Alright, let's go. Alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, bit of ultramarine blue will really darken that. Burnt sienna, ultramarine blue to go darker. As soon as you mix that ultramarine blue with those colours, it really darkens it off. So I want to establish the dark tones right now. darkest darks, get them in where I feel they need to be. Don't need too many, just throw a few around. Might just go more of a alizarin crimson now, which is the red. Just stick a little bit on the side here, a little bit in there. Sometimes I like to go completely red like that in the underpainting, and when you mix that with green like now, it'll go super dark, but at the same time you get that mixture of red and green, which gives you a nice combination of warm and cool colours. Now I've thrown a bit of yellow ochre in with that. I'm just going to lightly pull it over those reds, and you can see immediately those reds help to encourage a type of shadow feel. Alright, a bit more yellow ochre, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. Scrape her in, throw her in. Get this paint on quick smart. Yellow ochre, burnt sienna, pretty and green. Just trying to get a bit more pretty and green. Trying to get a nice low key situation going on here. Canvas is a little bit floppy today, but oh well, I'll be alright. We'll go with that, work with that. Burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, a little bit of white. I'm going to go a bit of white with that burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. Just to lighten it, I'm making a slightly lighter tone now, and a bit of an earthy sort of tone. A bit more of the bare ground, I guess you could say. That in. Alright. Now, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, yellow ochre. I want to make more of an earthy, rich creek bed colour. There's a bit of a dry creek bed running through here, so get some of those colours in there. Quick smart. Alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, burnt sienna. Maybe a bit of white just to soften her off a bit. Let's have a look. That's a nice colour. Know what fun it is to lash out on a big painting like this. Don't you think? It's great fun. Absolutely great fun. Now let's try a little bit of magenta with those mixes. Or burnt siennas. That slight magenta with it gives it a nice, mysterious, twilighty sort of effect. Just half mix that into the whole brew. Random marks. Yellow ochre, burnt sienna, no, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson again. Alright. A bit more alizarin crimson. Okay. Stand back for a minute. Right, standing back, I can see I want some more stuff here. Mix a bit of that with it, a bit of the earthy tones with it. Get that down like so. Plenty of paint, variety of marks. Alright, now let's go a little bit more foliage colour, some viridian green, burnt sienna. Pretty and green. Okay, hang on, a little bit of burnt sienna just to warm it up a bit. Right, yeah. Sort of feel that. Just lighten it a little bit. A bit more green and green predominance. I'll throw a bit of blue in maybe to go with it. Just trying to get the colour of the foliage that I want in the shadow. It's the shadow of the tree rather than the light source. Bit of yellow ochre with all that, see what we got. Not too bad. Alright. Bit here and there. Varying it all the time. So I'll mix up a bit more of those yellow ochres, burnt siennas, viridian greens. Mix that in. Stand back, see what we've got, eh? Okay, now I'm always going for the biggest differences between the finished subject and what I've got here. So I feel like I maybe get the sky in. What I might do is really clean this knife off nicely first. Really clean it off. Get a bit of magenta and white. Make a really light, high key magenta like so. Alright. Clean the knife. Let's try some of that bright orange. May need a bit of white in that, just a little bit of white to lighten it, not much. Half pull it together with that, let's see what we got. Absolutely beautiful, that's what we got. Absolutely beautiful. Trying to give the feeling of that beautiful late glow on the hill here. So there's more of that orange and white, just a little bit of white with it, like I said. Bit of magenta and white. The reason I'm mixing the two separate, I'm not mixing the magenta straight into this orange brew, because if I do, the two will kind of kill each other out. But if I just get them like so, that one mixed over there, that one here, and then half pull them together, before they get a chance to grey off or whatever they want to do, before they get their chance to grey off, I stop mixing. So I'll just put that in. Go. Put that in here and there. Bit of that there. Alright, stand back and have a look at that. Right, yeah, I'm happy with that colour. It is glowing in there. Right. Let's get some white. Bit of ultramarine blue with that magenta. Ultramarine blue, magenta, bit of that viridian green. What I'm trying to capture here is just, that's way too light. So we'll go magenta, viridian green again. With a bit of ultramarine blue. Just trying to capture the edge of where the light and shadow are meeting. Just put a little bit of stuff in the distance there. pull that through like so. Just helps to set that back a little. Just get these greens mixed up again and put a bit more of that in there. There we go. Some lovely green bits intermixed. All right, yeah, pretty good. Okay, now, before we go any further, hopefully you can't hear that dog barking too much. Dog in the background. Okay, so clean knife, clean area here, some pure, beautiful titanium white, some burnt sienna, yeah. Just had to work out for a minute, hang on, what colour combo am I going to do on this Sundown? Got a bit of a study up there. Bit of a plein air study just up here, just out of the picture, that I'm using to help me, as well as my video footage, photo footage. Now I've got so I can look up there to help get more accurately what I think I need for this particular day, this particular moment in time. So that's pure magenta and a fair bit of white. I might just throw a little bit of that in. Let's have a look at that colour. Slightly darker, just got to match it up and then go with what's going. It just needs a little bit more magenta, a little bit less white. It's about right, I reckon. Not quite touching because I don't, the edges of those greens and whatever, I don't want them to smudge into it for now. Later on I can smudge them together with one clean mark. If I do it now I could get in all sorts of mess, just a messy technique, so I just try and lay it on. A bit more difficult in between the gaps here, but you can still kind of do it if you don't move it around too much, just sort of lay it on with a knife. Just lay a bit on here. Now I've gone and run out of that little brew, so I'll have to mix up a bit more. Mixing on the fly. Pretty easy combo though, it's just magenta. Bit of a breeze outside. Magenta and white, so it's not too much of a difficult combination to get. So I'll just put that in, like so. Once I feel like I've got enough of that in, which is probably about now, just a little bit higher here maybe, a little bit more in there. Just want to get enough on the painting itself. Okay, now I've done that magenta brew, what I'll do now is I'll go to the burnt sienna and white that I was working on earlier just here. Let's just see if I've got enough burnt sienna in that. I think I need a little bit more burnt sienna. Let's go a bit more burnt sienna with the white. Let's just have a look at that. What do we got? Mix up a nice brew. I think that's about it. Right, because there's a bit of flop in this canvas, I need to hold on to it. I need to put some wedges in the back of this canvas. Linen, I should say. Pure Belgian linen. Fantastic stuff. Really coarse this one is. It's got quite a coarse surface on it. Great texture. Just stick that in the works there. Might go for a bit more, let's say burnt sienna. Already got a blob of white there, so I'll just mix that white into it. That's nice, looking about right. The right tonal value. Right, that goes in there. It's a lot easier when you don't have to paint around the foliage. Lay it on quick, smart. that in there and there. Alright, what do we got? Almost time to change colours and tones. Just put that in, like so. Stand back and analyse those colours. Alright, so we've got the magenta, the burnt sienna. Now I'm going to go for some beautiful yellow ochre and white. Again, plenty of white, but plenty of yellow ochre. Plenty of yellow ochre. We need plenty of this colour because it gets absorbed really quickly into the sky colour, I find. So yellow ochre, yeah, put plenty of that. Let's have a look. That's about it, I reckon. Stick that on, not touching anything too much. Beautiful colour, absolutely beautiful colour. Got to wipe that bit because I just went over the foliage then, and if I then reuse that paint, it'll have green from the foliage with it, which will make it muddy, which I don't really want. So if that happens, I'll wipe the knife clean and then go again. Alright, yellow ochre, white. A bit more white with that mix. What do we got here? Must be almost time to change colours now. Plenty of that's gone on. Alright. Tiniest bit of phthalo blue with this mix. Predominantly yellow ochre and white. A little bit of phthalo blue. Sends it a type of subtle green colour. More of that blue. Let's see what we got here. Mix, mix, mix. A nice sky colour. Just need to get this colour, this kind of greeny blue in the evening, in the morning. Around about here. Around about this height. In the sky. Now I'll blend them all together soon. I'm just trying to get it all on first. Okay, so that's that. Right, let's go up a layer. Let's go more of that blue. More of a cleaner blue now. So I've got less of the ochres. More blue and white combination, I guess you'd say. Slightly darker, slightly less white. So yeah, let's have a look. Now, there's a bit of a jump there, but I can easily mix it by just pulling the two together. So that's not too much of a drama. Painting the negative space, trying to leave a few gaps here and there for potential branches. Like so. Right, I'm going to go up another layer. I might just move that, stick it there. I'll come back to that later probably. And I'm going to use ultramarine blue and white. Magenta colour, that beautiful magenta colour. And white, plenty of white, plenty of everything actually, plenty of ultramarine and magenta. So we get a red blue rather than those green blues that we were mucking around with. Half mix that in, get those magenta streaks. Let's have a look. Now it's a bit of a jump like I was saying earlier about the other one, but I'll blend them all together so it'll be alright. Let's put them all here and there. Clean that up. A little bit in there. Just down there. Get her up to the edges. Pull it together a bit. I'll start doing that now while I'm here. Pull those colours together so that they blend into each other better. Just blend them together a little bit more, like so. Together. Right, now just stand back, see if I've got the colour combination right before I start blending too much. Yeah, I reckon so. I reckon that's good. Alright, so clean knife, hold on to that, start pulling that magenta and burnt sienna together. I'll start by blending those. Trying not to touch that beautiful glowing orange mountain too much just yet. And pull that together like so. There we go, look at that. It's all starting to blend now, it's all starting to take shape. The knife is very good for blending with just little marks. Whoops, I just hit the, hit the mountains then, but that wasn't that. The knife is great for doing this. It's slowly pulling them together and just giving them subtle changes instead of those massive changes that they currently had. It's all starting to come together. It's starting to look good, right? Now wipe that clean because I'm going up to the next layer now. If you're using brushes, you can see that this could become messy because with another brush, if I start putting that magenta up there next to this yellow ochre, it'll all turn muddy, but because I've just cleaned the knife, it's like having a brand new brush in your hand. It's absolutely clean. So now I can get that blend happening without making any mud. Sometimes upward marks are good too. Downward could leave a bit of a shadow. Downward marks can leave a bit of a shadow, a harsh shadow mark on the bottom of the paint. When you go up, it tends to, it's thick paint, but it blends it more so you don't get such a hard line. When the light from a studio is shining down on it, you cause a bit of a shadow with the thick paint, and sometimes that can put you off if you're painting a subtle tonal painting, which is, this actually is, very subtle tonal changes. You want to make sure that the light that people are viewing it in is not disturbing the whole thing. So even though you use thick paint, those underlays can sometimes be good to take them off and go upwards instead. And also variety is great, just varying the marks in general. Now they're getting blended nicely now. Like that clean, there was a bit of that dark shadowy green on that. Alright, let's get a clean bit of a whatever. Pull up white clean, blending that green blue into that red blue. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Alright, I'm already starting to see what's going on. I'm starting to feel that glowing evening light. I'll stand back and have a look. Okay, so those trees at the moment, are just the raw linen, and that's fine. But I'm going to start blocking them in with a bit of colour. There we go. Some cool colours, some ochres. Just want to mix a general colour. That's the right colour, but it's the wrong tone. So it needs to go darker tone, but generally be that colour. So I'll mix less white with it, go some ultramarine blue maybe, some blues and burnt siennas. That'll give me pretty much the same blue, but it's a darker tone now because there's less white in the mix. So it looks more like a tree in shadow. And also, I've gone and been stingy on the Viridian Green. It's a beautiful colour for these type of paintings. There we go, plenty of it now. That's in a tube. Just going to put a bit of that with it. There are some cool greens. It's good to put those cool greens in the sky. I mean those cool pale greens reflect from the sky into things that are fairly white, like the trunk of this tree. But you'll also find you get those beautiful blues and magentas, so I'll just put more of a magenta version here, more of a green version there. Pull them both together and you get that blend of both. There's nothing better than getting all the subtle blends of both colours and tones. Pull through. Alright, a bit more blue and white. So I've got a mixture of magentas, greens, blues, and then the white. And I'm doing different variances of it. Some's, like I was saying, more magenta dominant, some's more green dominant. So we're just currently working on giving the feeling of branches wherever you think they need to go to make a pleasing composition. So don't have to be exactly what you're looking at. It's excuse me, it's all about creating it's first you have to cough. It's all about creating those perfect shapes that make the painting just flow and blend. Right, now we're getting higher up. I'm going to mix some burnt sienna and white, because I also want some reflected light from the underside of the tree. So if you're in amongst the blues here, sometimes you get a bit more of that reflection like so on the underside. Right. Just put them in wherever they belong. Right. I'll just mix up a bit of a magenta. I've already got some here. Green, Viridian Green. Just experimenting a bit here. Just want to, that's a bit light, I mean a bit dark in tone, so a bit of white. Just experimenting with some of these foliage. Slightly placing it on and see what we get. Alright, so I've added in amongst the green foliage, which was yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, Viridian greens and burnt siennas. I've stuck a bit of that kind of Viridian green and magenta blue, like a paler colour, just a little bit to really give it a feeling that it's a shadow and it's not the light source. It's a cool colour. Just pull a bit of that through here and there. Just wherever you feel it needs to go. Bits lightly touching, so you can see that I'm sort of almost half dragging, which leaves little spots that it gives the illusion of leaves. like so. Let's have a look what's going on there, eh? We're just constantly moving around, just building up some different shapes here and there. Right. I'll just stand back and have a look, see what I got. Yep, alright, what do we got? Let's just go a little bit of yellow ochre, put it in green. I've got a bit of this cad, I might just experiment a bit, we'll have a bit of fun. This is a colour I had given to me, Cadmium Green, so I'm used to the cad reds, and I'm used to the cad, you know, yellows and oranges. The cad green, that sounds interesting, doesn't it? So, let's just have a look. Jeepers, that's strong. She's a strong colour. Man, that's strong. I'm half mixing it with yellow ochre, I just want a little bit more twang just through here in the foreground. Yeah, that's got plenty of power. You got to be sparing with it. A few uprights to give the feeling of grasses and stuff. Pulling the knife up. Bearing the marks everywhere. Just getting a nice blend of different things going on. Nice blend of marks. Whew, yep, she's green alright. Got a bit of green in this landscape, and that green will help make that red there just really pop anyway, so it's all good. Right, let's stand back and have a look at that. Good, but it needs a bit of softening, so pull through a bit here and there. Yes. Pulling through to blend, half blend. Just great. It's a great technique, just pulling through like so. It helps to blend everything, but it just makes everything merge together better. Right. Right, now I've gone and run out of my famous yellow ochre, so I'll stick a bit of that in. Top up, bit of a top up. Find somewhere to put the lid. Let's have a look at this stuff. Fantastic, here we go, look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. Tap that one down. I can go there for now. Right, what am I up to? Look at that yellow ochre. With some of that green, makes the biggest twang. Now I'm going to go a bit of cad orange half mix with it. So I've got the cad orange, the cad green and yellow ochre. Just going to lightly touch that on and see what happens. I just want to suggest a few areas where maybe that sunset light is just striking the tops of the trees. The trees are still tall enough to catch that bit of last light shining on. So I'm very lightly touching for now, because I'm kind of experimenting there, and also that light touching, like I said, gives the feeling of, breaks it up, so it gives the feeling of leaves and just general movement in the painting. Alright, Could go to a smaller knife. Shall we go to a smaller knife? I guess so. Small knife, cat orange, bit of white to lighten it. Now look, just look at that. That was when that light just spears out, that last bit of light. Nothing better than that. Very lightly put it on. And hang on. Got to keep it a light tone, and you've got to realise that that blue underneath wants to mix with it and grey it, so you've got to be very precise there. Not overworking, just lay it on, don't move it around too much. Let's just pull some through, get some colour in here, see what it feels like. Stand back and have a look. Yeah, it's kind of working, so we'll go again. White and cat orange, half mixed. Maybe drop a little bit in here. Knife on edge to get more detail. You can make a very thin line with those knives on the edge, like so. Like so. So it's just that late afternoon light catching the branches. Look at that. Now I might get some magenta, like I did earlier, magenta and white. So I'll mix that over here separate to the orange. Look at that. That's a nice colour too. Now just put that sometimes with that orange, just half blend it a bit. That magenta's kind of like a middle tone between the shadow cold and then the warm. It's just somewhere in the middle. It can quite often look good. A little bit lighter in tone. That's a good orange, but a little bit of the colour from underneath started mixing with it and darkening the tone. So I've mixed a bit more white and it's fresher. I'm going to keep it a bit lighter than that, you see. Mixing with these cools and lights like this, you've got to keep everything very clean. If you mix the blues with the oranges, you'll immediately get mud. Mud is the last thing you want on a beautiful, clean picture like this, where it's all about warm and cool colour contrast at this time of day. You get those beautiful oranges, blues, etc., etc. And the light just really comes to life. The whole world comes to life. Alright, let's have a look. Starting to look alright. Okay, so what I'll do is, I reckon that dog would stop barking, it'd be great. I'll get more of those radiant greens, magentas. Just have a look here. It's way too dark, let's just lighten it a bit. Put a bit of that there, and that's sitting next to that purple. That's sitting next to that magenta-y orange there is the opposite side of the colour wheel, so it'll really sting it, really jump. So I've got some blues and radiant greens. Now what I might do is, let's just see if I've got the right tone. Let's go a little bit darker, not too much. I'm going to establish a few shadows on the hills here. Just where you've got that rippling light. Running across the hill. Oh, stand back and have a look. Just going to get some pale blue and white. Just introduce a little bit of that down low in the sky here. Just to pick out the hills and stuff a little bit better, because what you've got here is the sky is very magenta on the horizon, and that's correct. But at the same time, because the hill is so magenta as well, they don't stand out much against each other. So by sticking a little bit of blue down low as well, not only does it look more like a sunset sky, but it also makes those hills jump out more. You just got to blend it right. You can see that orange against that blue absolutely pops. I'm just going to put a bit in. Once I've got it in, just a clean knife, just blend it up. It becomes part of the sky. Alright, well here I am the next morning. What I've gone and done is I've moved the painting into my other studio, and the reason I did that is for one, there was a dog barking, as you probably heard, which was driving me crazy, but at the same time I just wanted to see the painting in a different light, and I find that that works well. Like, I find that when you paint a picture, it's always good then to put it in different lights and look at it in those different lights, and you'll always see something different. For example, that last studio I painted in is quite a good natural light. And when I first stuck it in here, I turned all the lights off, so it was extremely dark, it was just dimly lit. And that allows you to see the major tonal values. You can see the shape of the composition when it's in twilight sort of feeling, like when the light is not strong. Then when I turn the light back on, so already I've seen it in a different light. Now when I turn the light on here, it's just a different light anyway. And so I'm seeing the painting from fresh eyes. I guess it's a good way to show you, for yourself, to see the painting as someone else probably would. You've painted it, so it's hard, you've got this connection to it, it's hard to see what's going on. Whereas someone else, when they look at the painting, straight away sees it for what it is. And I find that putting in different light is a good way to trick your own mind into seeing it in a new light, literally. Alright, so in doing that, I found that with the composition, what I did is I've just quickly mixed up a little bit of paint, not much, and just put a few more highlights. I've just realised that I needed a couple more highlights up here. I just made that one brighter there, made it jump out a bit, and put a tiny bit more light on there, just to make the hills that are in sunlight a slightly lighter value. Even though they were the right colour that I wanted for the sunset, I felt that the tonal value was just a little bit dark, so I needed to lift it a bit to get a little bit more light in the subject. So yeah, just a few flicks of colour here and there, and pretty much the same thing as it already was, but just a little bit more finished. Alright, well, pretty happy with the whole thing. I love painting the Outback at sunset, the Flinders Ranges anyway, so it's always great to do it. But I also like painting it this way, where you've got the light behind you as the sun's setting. Most people think of a sunset as looking towards where the sun's going down over the horizon, and that's all very interesting. But you can turn completely the opposite way and have the sun go down behind your back, and then watch the long creeping shadow head towards something like a mountain range like this. And so the only thing left is just a few glows of light for the last 30 seconds to a minute. Everything just glows, and then all of a sudden the shadow engulfs it and overtakes the whole thing. That moment in time I find absolute magic. It's just that time when it's just, you feel like anything's possible. It's just got a dreamy quality about it. And at the same time, it gives you the opportunity to play with those beautiful colour combinations, those really cold, half mixed. I've done a lot of half mixing in the cool colours. And then those really warm tones just sitting next to each other, which is so up close and so abstract and so much about paint. But when you get back, you really feel the glow of last light on the ranges. So, fantastic subject matter. Alright, well let's get that camera off and have a closer look at that technique, shall we? Alright, no worries, let's do it.